What's up, guys? Zach Evnesh here with another episode of the Iron Roots podcast brought to you by Play. And in this episode, I'm going to talk to you about an article written in 1968 that may very well be the original keto diet.
This is Play's Iron Roots,
A podcast dedicated to uncovering the strength legends, the training methods, and the stories around physical culture and iron history. I'm your host, Zach Evnesh. Grab yourself a protein shake, chalk up, and prepare to travel back in time through some of the most awe-inspiring stories of iron history. It's go time. Okay, guys, so it's the year 2019. It's not 1968. If only we could have the flux capacitor and travel back to the future, we would be able to really find out who created and came up with this ketogenic diet, which is all the craze nowadays in the year 2019. So I want to talk to you about one of the most prolific authors from that golden era and that classic era. And his name is John McCallum. He wrote the book, or it's a collection of articles called Keys to Progress. It was put together by Randall Strawson of Iron Mind. And this article in 1968 has Bill Pearl on the cover. And the name of this article is called The Definition Diet. And it caught my eye when I came across this magazine that was gifted to me. So I was reading through it and I said, holy, you know what? This is the keto diet. And what's very interesting is in the 50s and the 60s, even in the 70s and a bit of the 80s, they really encouraged bodybuilders and weightlifters to do what's called, quote unquote, bulking up, to eat as much as you can, put on all kinds of weight, whether it was good or bad, and then you're going to cut down. They would say that that was the best way. But what started happening was people were writing into the magazines, and John McCallum was getting their letters, and they were basically saying, listen, I've just put on a bunch of fat, and I don't feel good, and I don't look good, and now I've got to do something different. So when they write in, it was kind of like this like a desperation letter of like, what do I do? And John McCallum answers with what he called the definition diet. So I'm going to break it down for you guys, and I'm going to read what a day of the definition diet looks like. And it's essentially modern day keto. So check it out. He says, the definition diet, like most good things, is simple. It's tasty, it's nutritious, it's easy to figure out, it's easy to follow, and it's ideally suited for the weightlifting trainee. So he's already saying this is not for somebody who's trying to avoid, lifting weights and they just want some sort of a crash weight loss kind of deal. That's not who it's for. He goes, so there are several diets, and the names of these diets are funny. He goes, there's the Air Force diet, the drinking man's diet, etc. He's like, based on the idea of reducing your carbohydrate intake 55 or 60 grams a day, I'm not talking about that. I mean eliminating carbohydrates completely while you're on the elimination diet. You don't cut calories. You don't even count them. You simply don't eat any carbohydrates at all. So much for what you don't eat. Let's talk now about what you can eat. You can eat beef, all you want. Steaks, roasts, hamburgers, boiled, fried, chipped, dried, corned, and raw if you like it that way. Short ribs, sweetbreads, tongue, tripe, any kind of beef you like and as much as you want. And what's interesting is we're going to hear him talking about and really encouraging people to eat meat organs. So you could eat pork and chops and roast and sausage, ham, bacon, spare ribs. Eat all you want. Goose, pheasant, duck. You could fry it. You could roast it. Cook it any way you like. You could eat most seafood, from salmon to whether it's fresh or canned. Eat catfish, codfish, mackerel, tuna, clams, lobster, shrimp, mussels, and squid if you could gag it down. You could eat lamb if you want, or veal. Butter them up, eggs, and bulk cheese. And if you listened or watched a previous episode where I spoke about the 20 rep squats and the super squats. They're telling you to eat like a quarter pound of cheese at a sitting. You could eat rabbit, mutton, unsaturated oils, drink black tea or coffee. And he goes, let me give you some sample menus. And it's pretty interesting reading this stuff, because if you have followed the lifters or the bodybuilders from that golden era and that classical era, this is kind of similar to Vince Gironda's Stone Age diet, which I don't know when that was written, but I've come across that article and across the information. And Vince was the trainer of the first Mr. Olympia, Larry Scott, which was the early 60s. I'm about to say 1962, perhaps. So here's sample menu. Breakfast, ham or bacon, all you want. Eggs, as many as you'd like. Boiled, fried, poached, scrambled, it doesn't matter. For lunch, you're going to have Alaska black cod, boiled, which I don't know if that sounds too good. Pour melted butter all over it and eat all you want. Then drink black tea. For supper, steamed clams. Drink the nectar and eat as many as you like. Then eat steak, the biggest one you can afford, with a side order of spare ribs. Have bulk cheese and then drink black coffee. Here's the other thing it says, which is very similar to Vince Gironda's Stone Age diet. Don't eat between meals. Eat enough at mealtime and you won't have to. You don't have to eat the most expensive cuts of meat either. The cheaper cuts are just as good. Play around with various combinations of food. And what's interesting about that is when I've spoken to some people who are legitimate nutrition experts, they've mentioned being careful with overeating the same style of food. So you're always eating the filet, or you're always eating eggs scrambled. So if you're preparing the food or eating the same food in the same style, it's not good for the body. And here we are getting information from the late 60s from somebody who's probably not really a nutrition expert. A lot of these guys were, they were just more prolific and more profound and maybe a little bit more experienced than the normal person. And they may have had more people that they could have experimented with, like Vince Gironda owning a gym. He was able to give the bodybuilders all these, different advices, as Arnold likes to say, and he was able to experiment on them and see what worked, thus allowing them to write about it. He talks a little bit about taking vitamins, minerals, and of course, we're in a day and age where, whoever was the owner of the magazine was the one that was going to promote their supplements. So they speak about taking vitamins, minerals. Wheat germ oil was something very big. And then here's where probably the editing comes in. It says, don't fudge on the supplements. They are very important. Take the protein in the recommended amounts. Take the vitamin, mineral, and the oil in 3 times the recommended amounts. The carbohydrate-free diet, like running, is a new wrinkle among weight trainees. It's not widely known yet. Don't waste any time getting on the bandwagon. Start the diet tomorrow and see the results yourself. Next month, we'll discuss the type of training you really need to sharpen you up. So leading up to that 1968 article, what were the majority of the articles about? Training hard, drinking lots of milk, eating everything in sight, 20 rep squats, 5x5 workouts. So of course, everybody's getting big, they're bulking up. Now they're realizing that may not have been the best thing. And now let's go on the definition diet, 0 carbohydrates. 50 years ago, perhaps one of the earliest articles ever written on what we call today the ketogenic diet. So that's it, guys, for this episode of the Iron Roots podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do us a favor, leave a 5-star review on iTunes, share the videos with friends, post them up on Facebook and Instagram or wherever you could share with friends. We really appreciate your support. And to catch the back episodes as well as other awesome strength and conditioning info, go to play.pro. That's our play.pro app. And you're going to get all kinds of seminars that were recorded, behind the scenes videos, webinars, filmed and produced by Play and Ron McKeefrey. It's basically an all-in-one stop shop for strength and conditioning. Whether you're a coach or not, whoever works with athletes, you will love it. And it's all at play.pro. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.